Okay. So today, we're going to talk about the next cognitive distortion. Let me just pull up the. So if I look up cognitive distortions, there's going to be a link for therapist aid. This is the. This is what I am. This is like if you ever go to the therapy, you're going to be handed this piece of paper. It's from therapistaid.com. It's a worksheet. It just has this list of cognitive distortions. Um, Yesterday I made a video about magnification and minimization. Today it's going to be catastrophizing. Okay, so here's actually, let's start with the cognitive distortions. If you don't know what cognitive distortions are irrational thoughts, and that's important, irrational thoughts that shape how you see the world, how you feel, and how you act. It's normal to have these thoughts occasionally, but they can be harmful when frequent or extreme. Um, Basically, let's say that a lot of the things that we think and do, there are a lot of lizard brain fundamentals stuck inside there that um, are the root cause and reason for why we have the thought patterns that we do. So let's take anxiety for example. Like anxiety is never fun, right? But it does have benefits to our life, such as future telling, attempting to predict outcomes, and that the reason this becomes bad is because we don't know how to manage our stress when it comes down to feelings of anxiety. So, um, yeah, like I said, last video was magnification, minimization. Today it is going to be catastrophizing. So this is seeing only the worst possible outcomes of a situation, um, and I'm gonna liken this to the idea of I constantly have teams that just feed. Like I'm not going to benefit from this, or like any number of things where like you just sit there and you go, oh my god, I'm gonna be playing. I'm playing into X matchup. This is like my worst matchup. It's my least favorite matchup. Um, that may be true, but there are a lot of things that maybe come down to um, that matchup where like yeah, that matchup is really rough for me, but I know I can make it out of laning, and then outside of laning in a team fight, I actually function a lot better. Like say like, um, yeah, this is one that like I get a lot of flack for. My viewpoint on the Sylas Malphite matchup. If I'm playing top Malphite into a Sylas, I am not worried, and that's because I personally have not lost in lane or even gotten giga dunked on in lane by the Sylas. However, the issue is that in a team fight, his utility is way more impactful, because he can steal my ult, deal way more damage, and still get the same amount of CC off, plus more because he has a lot more CS or CC built into his kit. I have a Sunder, I have a Slow, and I have a Knockup. He has two Knockups. Can have a Slow. He can have point and click heal to stay in the fight longer. He can steal my knockup. He can steal any number of knockups. So, maybe I'm sitting there and going like, oh my god, they lock in Malphite. It's Malphite. What's it called? It's Malphite into Silas. Like game's over. We're not gonna win. This is just it. Like let's just fucking give up. You can only see the worst possible outcomes. Or like, oh, my team is fighting again. Yep. All right, great. And how did I know that they were gonna lose? Well, you didn't know that they were gonna lose. There's a number of things that like have impact on outcomes. So the next big thing that I'm going to touch on is this thing called tilt queuing. So this is like I think the biggest manifestation of catastrophizing um, in modern gaming culture. So tilt queuing is like you queue up for a match, usually in ranked, even though you're really frustrated and angry, and you might not notice it, but like you likely already have an idea of like if you're gonna win or lose, and your gameplay as a result is going to be negatively impacted. So when you have this compromised state of mind, you are effectively saying, and then queuing up inside that mindset, you're effectively saying like this is it. Like I'm done. Like I'm going to have a terrible time. I'm just gonna lose again. So I'm angry. I'm gonna queue up, or like, oh, I've got to get a win. But like your mindset is just constantly saying to yourself like you're probably not going to win. So like um, catastrophizing has a lot to do with frustration and anger, which if if I look up physiological uh, reaction to anger, um, you have a lot of stress, and your body gets ready, like it heats up. Your body genuinely heats up because the warmer your body is, the more easily it is, the more easily ready it is to move. Your blood pressure is going to go up, your heart rate goes up, and like your gut is gonna feel a little worse because now all of that blood is going into your body, and now like you're wondering why you have troubles playing when you're frustrated. Well, you're probably not moving as controlled and clean as you need to be able to win the game. Um, the, like the big things is like not being able to control like impulsivity. Um, like that was a very impulsive ultimate, and that's because I've been getting really really tired of waiting for this game to start feeling like I'm ahead. Um, and I maybe not am I maybe I'm not playing in a level of tilt similar to everyone else, but I am, I'm recognizing that I am getting a little angry, a little frustrated with time, and what I need to do is to slow the pace of the game down, slow down my reactions, and all that stuff. Like for me and a lot of players, let's say you go into ranked and you say, um, oh man, if I die two more times, like, or like if I lose two more games, I drop out, and like I can't drop, like I can't drop out. If I lose two more games, I'm out of gold, I'm out of silver, whatever your fucking thing is. Like if you go in with that mindset, you already have this defeatist level of like understanding. Um, like if I don't get out of laning phase, I'm not going to be able to do anything. And then like that whole time during laning phase, you're not focused on laning, you're focused on getting out of laning phase, and maybe even not even like the actual idea of being able to get out of laning phase, but just being outside of laning phase. So now you're taking this situation where you have this idea. I want to get out of laning, but you're removing processes to it. You're now taking away the fact that you have to lane to get out of laning. So now you're just sitting and doing nothing and probably playing a lot poorer because you're looking for a solution to get out of laning without having to lane. Um, it's stuff like that. Like if I have another shit teammate on my team, like this is just gonna be it for me. Or like I'm gonna quit league if this happens one more time. Um, and turns out sometimes those things happen, which is like fine, but it's being able to I guess cope with that. Catastrophizing, God, catastrophic thinking is in CBT. It's one of the main things that people do because this is like it coincides with last time where we talked about what was it? It was black and white or magnification and minimization. Um, so that's and these are all very closely intertwined, but um, you have to understand that like the best way to like combat these thoughts is to recognize and I guess acknowledge that certain things happen and they don't have to have a reason or you don't have to understand the reason. Um, let's say um, I start to queue up and I go, I'm just gonna lose. Well, no, you're probably not going to lose. Like you might, but probably not. Um, it's like in attempting to find ways to get out of these mindsets is really the only way that I can kind of describe it. So instead of saying like I'm just gonna queue and lose and like drop down a rank, I don't fucking care. Just say, I'm gonna play today, and I've had a rough time, but I need to maybe change some things that I'm doing. Um, Like if you're sitting there and you're like constantly thinking this shit, like you have to like find out at a certain point that like it's not healthy for you. Like I don't want to say you just need to stop, but really you just need to stop. Um, so you may not have depression, you may not have anxiety, but it's all very deeply intertwined with how we interact with the world and react to things. Me personally, um, I've found that uh, like catastrophic thinking is most relevant in uh, my daily necessary tasks. So when I, um, let's say, like doing the dishes or like something to that effect, like stuff that like maybe isn't like super crazy important, but like it's still like necessary for you to do. That's kind of where I see the most catastrophic thinking. Um, I end up maybe um, saying like if I'm not able to do the dishes today, or if I'm not able to like clean my whole room, then like what's the point of even trying to clean my room if I can't clean it all in one single day? Um, and it prevents you from maybe improving or doing the things that you need to do. Yeah, maybe I can't clean my whole room in a single day, but I could probably get a good chunk of my room cleaned in a day, and maybe do the rest of the chunk the next day. Um, and I guess we could possibly think that in, let's say, um, let's say your attempt to climb. Like I haven't had any luck on my assassins. I can't play an assassin. Like if I pick a Kali, I'm just gonna lose. But I only know how to play a Kali. Um, well, that's probably not true. You probably do know how to play the champion that you play the most, and maybe you have a couple of rough matchups, and maybe you can sit there and say, well, actually, let me look at these games. Well, it turns out that I have a pretty low win rate against X champ when I'm picking a Kali or whatever. And you're trying to get out of this area of rough thought pattern, and you're trying to effectively rationalize your thoughts. You're trying to get from the irrational to the rational, because if you're stuck constantly you know in these irrational thought patterns, you're going to eventually succumb to them, and it's like that self-fulfilling prophecy. um it's it's just not going to be good for you. You tend to be, and these are all of these, you tend to be risk averse um, in your actions. Let's say the risk is taking that hour long time to um, do the dishes. Let's say it takes an hour to do the dishes because I've got a big family and I got a lot of dishes, and we don't do them until the end of the day. Well, instead of doing the dishes, now I say that I'm uncomfortable doing that and I want to sit around and do nothing. The risk is taking time out of your what you believe is your comfort time, um, and the benefit would be that the dishes are done because you have to get them done. Like it, it's very hard for me to explain some of this stuff because I'm trying to also think of how I can put this into this game. But like the best I could say is like when you tilt queue, it's you're setting your own mind up for failure. You shield yourself from any kind of future negative outcome because uh, you don't want to succeed, or you don't want to attempt to succeed. It's easier for you to admit that you're just lost than it is to like, let's say it's easier to admit that the game's going to be over than it is to say that we have a chance and I need to try. um Inaction is easier than action in a lot of cases, and some people see giving up as that as that easy point of action or inaction. Um, so I think that's probably something that is like really good, or like really important to maybe say when you're considering playing video games and trying to climb elo. Um, if you're always focusing on like negative outcomes are going to come, not because you are smart, but because the positive impact that you can impart on a situation turns out to be not there because you're avoiding the situation. And I think that's exactly what happens here. Like, I'm very, very much avoiding a lot of these situations. Like, I very, very likely could have just stayed and wrapped around the bottom, but I didn't. And that's because I was very risk averse this game, I think. Um, Saying to myself, like, we need to win. I've got this blitzcrank who won't stop following me around. This guy is like hinting. Um, so let's say that, like, you have catastrophic thinking. You might have a really thought out plan. You might have something that says, well, since I am behind, what I can do is play around this objective, and that's actually a benefit to this very catastrophic negative thinking, is that you can have a better idea of what will work, um, and maybe set yourself up for a success in the future. But I mean, with everything, like, you gotta recognize that just about everything is just about everything is going to be up to um, the execution of these things. Um, but this one was a little bit harder to talk about for me, I think. Because I guess this is not one of the focuses that I have in my life. The next one, overgeneralization, so broad interpretations for a single or few events. I felt awkward during my job interview. I am always awkward. I think that one might be a little bit easier, because I think that this can pertain to a lot of our playstyles. Like, I perform well on assassins. I am always going to perform well on assassins. Or I do very poorly when I play against X champ, Vex. I'm always going to play poorly when I play against that champ. I think that that's something that we all suffer from, um, and we can change that thought to better encapsulate a more positive and supportive kind of environment for us to be able to play in. Um, and and you're like, if you're sitting there being a lot more positive, like, there's in my mind, there's nothing that you can't do. Um, like, this game, like, was very, very rough, but, like, we still won. Like, there's no reason to not try. Um, that being said, that's it. And yeah, so it's like hopefully a good amount of time.